It's supposed to be high summer. The world is green and bright, but I woke up this morning to a cold and amber light. The leaves on my sidewalk are curling up and brown. The seasonal clock is broken since you left the town. My heart decided early it couldn't wait till fall, so it prematurely froze, answering sorrow's call. The tourists are still laughing, the ice cream carts still roll, but there's frost inside the window of my lonely, tired soul. I'm wearing all my sweaters, hiding from the heat, because every joyful moment is a lie I can't defeat. It's autumn in July, the winter came too soon. I'm seeing shadows lengthening beneath the summer moon. The whole world is celebrating the warmth that you took away, and the seasons of our ending refuse to obey. I'm living out of sequence, stuck in a lonely time, where every happy memory is corrupted by the rhyme. Came too soon, corrupted by the rhyme. The city lights are blurring into a chemical stream. It's midnight on the calendar, but I'm living a fever dream. I put on my headphones, trying to tune the world out, but every single silence makes me stand up and shout. There's a cosmic kind of loneliness in this crowd I walk through, searching for a signal that feels genuine and true. They all talk about the surface, the things you can define, but I'm looking for the message, the one that's truly mine. They say the universe is mostly space, cold and deep, but I feel that hidden current running while the others sleep. There's a pull I can't ignore, a frequency so high, like a distant satellite calling me from the sky. I hear the echoes of Jupiter in the static of the street, a low rumbling reminder that the magic can't be beat. It's telling me to break away from the gravity and fear, that the biggest, boldest feeling is the one that's always near. We don't need a telescope to see how wide we are, just listen for the whisper of the most brilliant star. Yeah, those echoes of Jupiter are ringing out for me. I used to think my purpose was found in what I saw, the tangible, the measurable, abiding by the law. But the moment I looked inward, everything began to shift. Suddenly my tiny life felt like a massive universal gift. I don't fit the mold they made, the boxes they defined. I got storms in my atmosphere and secrets in my mind. Let them think it's chaos, let them call it just noise. This untamed energy is the power that destroys every doubt. This universe is mostly space, cold from the gravity and fear, that the biggest, boldest feeling is the one that's always near. We don't need a telescope to see how wide we are. Just listen for the whisper of the most brilliant star. Yeah, those echoes of Jupiter are ringing out for me. I'm spinning counterclockwise, defying the main drag, collecting all the stardust in my little paper bag. This is the moment of escape, no time to look behind. I'm leaving orbit, baby, and charting out my own kind of timeline. Can't be beat, is telling me to break away from the gravity and fear, that the biggest, boldest feeling is the one that's always near. We don't need a telescope to see how wide we are. Just listen for the whisper of the most brilliant star. Yeah, those echoes of Jupiter are ringing out for me, ringing out for me. We're breaking free. Try to package up the feelings, box them up neatly tight, and return them to the counter before the closing light. I held up all the passion, the trust, the faith we spent, and asked for my full refund for the time I only lent. But the manager came over looking sorry and austere, and pointed to the signage that made the reason clear. We skipped the careful choosing, we didn't check the tags. We only saw the sparkle rushing into the glad rags. There were no warranties, no guarantees on the door. The beautiful mistake was ours and nothing less, nothing more. Everything we bought was final sale. There is no walking back, the value plummeted quickly once we left the proper track. The love was non-refundable, the sadness unexchangeable, and the heartbreak is the item that is simply unchangeable. I'm stuck with the damaged goods, the debt I have to pay, because the best kind of loving is the one you can't give Keep a list of moments that never quite broke through, the almost kisses, the nearly said I love you. We stood on the brink of forever, right up to the edge, but you always pulled back, balancing on the ledge. It wasn't a failure, no dramatic goodbye, just the silent, slow death of the potential that could fly. I should be grieving what we had, but I'm on what we missed, the beautiful future that our caution dismissed. I'm curating the memories of the choices we postponed, the greatest love story that was never truly known. This is the archive of almost a perfect future. inches from the sun, but we chose the cold moonlight. Forever haunted by the shadow of it wasn't the right time. I don't regret the falling, I regret the climb we stopped. The moment that we hesitated and the feeling softly dropped. I see you with the person who finally took the leap, and they are living out the secrets that I swore I had to keep. You finally crossed the threshold, you gave them all the keys. Well, I'm stuck behind the velvet rope, swaying in the breeze. We had all the ingredients, the passion and the trust, but we let the possibility slowly turn to dust. And the saddest thing is knowing that the fall was purely ours. We were too afraid of losing, so we stayed behind the stars. The archive of almost. The right time never came. We found the first big crack beneath the kitchen floor, a tiny, quiet fissure that we tried to ignore. We swept the dust over it, we laid a heavy rug, then taped a tiny plaster over the whole snug hug of our collapsing comfort, swearing it would hold a cheap synthetic fix for a story growing old. We lived on shaky ground, praying it wouldn't shift, ignoring the deep rumble, refusing the final gift of honesty and silence, of truth instead of lies. We only saw the surface reflected in our eyes. We put the band-aid on the fault line, a foolish, flimsy cure for a structural weakness that was guaranteed to endure. We should have called the engineer, should have torn the building down, but we chose the quick repair to keep you in my town. Now the whole thing's crumbling, the small fix didn't last, and the cheap, sad plaster is the shadow of our past. The fault line didn't last. The fault line didn't last. I click on your old messages, I search for the connection, a path back to the beginning, avoiding all deflection. We used to be seamless, one address leading to the next, a perfect chain of moments, exactly as a text predicted our forever, safe behind the screen, the fastest way to happiness I'd ever seen. But something in the server crashed, the signal got confused. Now every time I search for you, the pathway is refused. I type in the password, I remember all the codes, but the system just replies error 404. Love decomposes. Of the black and empty void. Error 404. The curtain should be closing, the spotlight should be gone. We bow to the audience at the break of dawn. We finished the performance, the tragic final scene. We swore we'd leave the stage for the futures in between. But the lights came back on, and the crowd began to cheer. And now we're back again, fighting back the fear. You looked at me and whispered, just one more time, my dear. And now we're playing the heartbreak we both tried to clear. We know the script is flawed, the ending is unkind, but the addiction to the drama leaves the real world far behind. This is the encore of sadness, the show we shouldn't play, reliving the catastrophe that happened yesterday. We keep giving the audience what they desperately crave, but every note we sing now just digs a deeper grave. The applause is just the silence of the things we failed to say, trapped on the stage forever, repeating the betrayal, repeating the betrayal, repeating the betrayal. We wrote forever on the contract in the very largest script. We thought our kind of loving was a secret transcript. We laughed at all the others who let their feelings wane, sure that our specific chemistry could conquer all the pain. We didn't know the fine print hidden underneath the glow, the tiny crucial clause that eventually makes you go. I thought our bond was timeless, immune to the decay, that every word we whispered meant we'd never walk away. But somewhere in the footnotes, the date began to show, and the truth is every perfect lost in the good days, without a sense of force. If I had known the deadline, if I'd seen the little clock, I would have spent every second standing right beside your block. But we were so arrogant, so certain of the prize, we missed the subtle warning reflected in our eyes. I thought our bond was timeless, immune to the decay, that every word we whispered meant we never walk away. But somewhere in the footnotes, the day began to show, and the truth is every perfect thing is scheduled to let go. There was an expiration date on forever we just couldn't see, the inevitable closing written down for you and me. It wasn't stamped on paper, it was hidden in the air, a limit on the magic, a burden we couldn't share. We ran out of the hours we thought were guaranteed, and now the clock is striking, planning the final lonely scene. I wish I could tear up the contract, change the numbers in the code, reverse the damage done before we hit the final road. But the terms are non-negotiable, the fate is set in stone, and now I have to learn how to walk back home alone. There was an expiration date on forever we just couldn't see, the inevitable closing written down for you and me. It wasn't stamped on paper, it was hidden in the air, a limit on the magic, a burden we couldn't share, scheduled to let go. The final lonely seed. I should have dropped it off weeks ago, slipped it in the mail. But every morning ritual, the memory doesn't fail. It rattles when I move, it catches on the light, a tiny piece of brass that still believes I have the right to turn the lock, walk in, and find you in the hall, before the weight of being lonely makes me fall.
It hangs beside my current one,
A shiny, useless twin, a permanent reminder of the life that can't begin. Again with you inside that door, behind those painted walls. I know the combination, I remember all the calls. This is the extra key on my chain, the burden that I wear, a metal monument to all the futures we won't share. It's heavy with the promises we made within that space, the last physical fragment of your warmth and your grace. I can't bring myself to lose it, I can't throw it in the sea, because holding on to this key is holding on to a piece piece of the old me. I wonder if you changed the tumbler, switch the mechanism out, if trying to unlock it would only lead to doubt. Would the click sound foreign? Would the deadbolt even turn? Or would I just be standing there watching all my lessons burn? It doesn't matter, really. I know I shouldn't try, but it's easier to carry this small token than to truly say goodbye. It hangs beside my current one, a shiny, useless twin, a permanent reminder of the life that can't begin. Again with you inside that door, behind those painted walls. I know the combination, I remember all the calls. This is the extra key on my chain, the burden that I wear, a metal monument to all the futures we won't share. It's heavy with the promises we made within that space, the last physical fragment of your warmth and your grace. I can't bring myself to lose it, I can't throw it in the sea, because holding on to this key is holding on to a piece of the old me. It's just 5 grams of metal, but it holds a ton of strain, a tiny cold assurance that nothing is the same. And every time I hear it rattle, I know I'm still delayed, stuck outside the life where all our memories were made. This is the extra key on my chain, the burden that I wear, a metal monument to all the futures we won't share. It's heavy with the promises we made within that space, the last physical fragment of your warmth and your grace. Holding on to this key, piece of the old me. We bought the grandest frame for the picture of our love. We thought we needed vast space to capture what we were made of. But the bigger the border, the smaller the memory seemed. Trapped inside the gilded edges of a future we only dreamed. The space around the moment is overwhelming and wide, a testament to all the years we tried so hard to hide. The truth is, our story was beautiful, concise and small. It didn't need the spotlight, it didn't need the fall. We over-dramatized the ending, we oversold the size. Is hidden by the lies. Our simple story faded because the frame is too big in elaborate prison for a love that didn't dig deep enough to fill the space we foolishly designed. We sacrificed the content for the outline behind. I'm standing here surrounded by the empty, polished wood, grieving the pure, small feeling that was misunderstood. They say the shortest distance is a straight, unwavering line. But when I try to draw the path from your heart back to mine, the map warps and bends in ways I can't explain. Distance isn't just miles, it's a constant, steady strain. I thought our love was parallel, always side by side, but one line drifted slightly, and now the worlds divide. This isn't simple arithmetic, we're adding one and one. It's the complex curve of sorrow beneath the setting sun. Every time I close my eyes, I trace your features true, but absence is a lens that changes the geometry of you. I'm caught in the geometry of missing you, where circles don't connect. Every perfect angle we had now warps with cold effect. The future we designed was an elegant four-sided square. Now it's an impossible shape, floating in the air, and the longest side of all is the silence in the room, the infinite distance between us and the inevitable gloom. We used to fit together like two halves of a sphere, seamless, smooth and perfect, banishing all fear. Now I'm looking for the tangent, the point where we might touch, but the calculation's broken. I'm hoping far too much. The vectors of your life point clearly away from mine, leaving me behind the graph, searching for a sign. This isn't simple arithmetic or adding one and one. It's the complex curve of sorrow beneath the setting sun. Every time I close my eyes, I trace your features true, but absent the geometry of missing you, where circles don't connect. Every perfect angle we had now warps with cold effect. The future we designed was an elegant four-sided square. Now it's an impossible shape, floating in the air, and the longest side of all caught in the geometry of missing you, where circles don't connect. Every perfect angle we had now warps with cold effect. The future we designed was an elegant four-sided square. Now we're just an impossible shape, floating in the air. The impossible shape, the inevitable gloom. I hired a locksmith yesterday, paid him a massive fee to change the combination to the memories of me. I wanted all the doors to your existence sealed and tight, to keep your ghost from creeping through the keyhole late at night. But when he tried the tumblers, the mechanism just seized. He told me that the memory lock cannot be appeased. He said the key is still inside, rusted and stuck fast. It's been too many seasons since the last time it was passed. The love we built is permanent, forged deep within the brain, and no amount of drilling can remove the bitter strain. There's no locksmith for the memory, no way to change the code. I'm trapped inside the vault where all our history is stowed. I can't lock you out of my future, because you are the key to the broken, bitter house of what I thought we would be. The lock is set forever, the sadness is the seal, and I'll spend my whole life wishing that this drama wasn't real. Cannot be appeased. Cannot be appeased. The breakup didn't happen in a fit of bitter rage. It came when we stopped turning to the brand new page. It was a slow decay, like paint peeled by the sun. A marathon we finished, not realizing we'd run. I kept waiting for the siren, the emergency sound, to warn us that our perfect world was failing and unbound. We set the clock for crisis, waiting for the blast, but the sound went off in silence, too subtle and too fast. You stopped saying good morning and started just saying hi, and that tiny muted change was how our good thing died. I miss the muted alarm, the gentle quiet chime that told us we were running out of moments and of time. I was expecting thunder, but I only got a hum, the subtle slow withdrawal of the happy things to come. We walked right past the warning sign, dressed up in white and gold, and now the clock is broken and the story's growing cold. Wish I'd seen the tremor, not just the massive shake. Then maybe I'd have fought for all the love we had to take. But the most dangerous ending is the one you don't perceive. The quiet, peaceful death of everything you believe. The quiet chime, the muted alarm. We kept a perfect ledger of every kiss and fight. I swore the balance sheet of us was always looking bright. I tallied up the laughter, the compromises made, believing that the investment would never be betrayed.
We had the best projections, the highest rate of return.
But I failed to account for lessons I refused to learn.
The assets were your presence,
The trust you freely gave, but the liabilities grew. The futures we couldn't save. Now the accountants are here, declaring the account is drained, and the final cruel subtraction leaves me cold and unrestrained.
I'm facing the net loss of loving you, the terrible final sum, where every happy memory is wiped out by what's to come. The total is zero now, the equity is gone. I spent my whole fortune on a love that couldn't last till dawn. The price of the heartbreak is the one I couldn't bear. I'm left with the deficit, the empty chair. I tried to put in collateral, I offered up my soul, but the interest on the sorrow took its final heavy toll. There's nothing left to audit, the books are closed and sealed, and the cost of walking away is finally revealed. The empty chair, the final song. The empty chair, the final song. The thaw was temporary, a brief misleading spring. The warmth you promised me was just a fragile thing. I thought your frozen silence had finally started to crack, but you only moved the surface, you never looked back. Now the ice is hardened, layers upon layers deep, and every emotion I try to show you, you just keep trapped beneath the surface where no feeling can survive. I should have known the climate of your soul was always cold. A perfect, beautiful glacier, tragic to behold. I brought the fire.
absorbed the heat and left me standing stranded, defeated and incomplete. You left me with a permafrost heart, impossible to reach, a landscape of indifference where nothing ever breaches. I see the ghosts of summer locked deep inside the eyes, but getting back to warmth now demands too high a price. We can't rewind the seasons, we can't melt what's set in stone, and I'm leaving you now, realizing I was always alone. Always alone. The permafrost heart. We're sitting here at dinner, talking about the weather, but underneath the surface, we're letting go together. I'm looking at your smile, knowing I can't keep it. The moment's on the block, and I know I can't outbid it. We're selling off the future, piece by agonizing piece. The memory of forever is about to find release. I keep my hands below the table, I won't raise them high. I know the winning price is something I can't buy. The hammer's in the air, now the room is holding breath, waiting for the final sound that seals this love's cold death. This is a silent auction where our future gets sold, trading all our golden years for a story left untold. I'm watching other bidders claim the pieces of my dream, the house, the trip, the promise, the silent rushing stream. I make my final quiet bid with tears I won't let fall. But loneliness has the deepest pockets and it's taking it all. I see them walking in now, the people who will take the space beside your pillow, the morning coffee break. They don't know the value, the history we amassed. They only see the object, not the shadow of the past. But I won't make a scene, I won't try to reclaim. I'll just sit here softly, whispering your name. I keep my hands below the table, this is a silent auction where our future gets sold, trading all our golden years for a story left untold. I'm watching other bidders claim the pieces of my dream, the house, the trip, the promise, the silent rushing stream. I make my final quiet bid with tears I won't let fall. But loneliness has the deepest pockets and it's taking it all. The gavel falls so softly, you barely hear the sound, but the heavy sense of finality echoes all around. And I walk out empty-handed, leaving everything behind. The love I couldn't keep is Your profile is pristine now. The past has been erased. Every shared memory meticulously displaced. The comments are all gone, the history scrubbed clean, as if the last 2 years were just a dream. I searched the archives, hoping for a trace, a timestamp, a location, or the outline of my face. You rebuild your digital life, beautiful and new, leaving no connection to the me you knew. But then I found it buried deep in a friend's old feed, a tiny piece of evidence, exactly what I need. A single blurry snapshot from a quiet, rainy day, the only truth you couldn't completely wash away. It's the single untagged photo, the ghost of what we were, the quiet, undeniable proof that you love me here. There's no name, no context, no filter to disguise, just the honest, happy feeling reflected in our eyes. You tried to delete the story, you tried to burn the page, but this little pixelated moment keeps me turning back the age. I studied the background, the shade of the old wall, searching for a detail to break the silent fall. We look so unaware of the ending we would meet, so effortlessly complete on that rainy street. You can block me and mute me, you can filter out the light, but you can't control the memories that live outside your sight. But then I found it buried deep in a friend's old feed, a tiny piece of evidence, exactly what I need. A single blurry snapshot from a quiet, rainy day, the only truth you couldn't completely wash away. It's the single untagged photo, the ghost of what we were, the quiet, undeniable proof that you love me here. There's no name, no context, no filter to disguise, just the honest, happy feeling reflected in our eyes. You tried to delete the story, you tried to burn the page, but this little pixelated moment keeps me turning back the age. I won't save it or share it, I won't use it to accuse. I'll just look at it quietly and try to face the news, because this tiny faded image holds more truth and grace than all the perfect updates you put in my place. It's the single untagged photo, the ghost of what we were, the quiet, undeniable proof that you love me here. There's no name, no context, no filter to disguise, just the honest, happy feeling reflected in our eyes, the only proof untagged. Happy feeling. You're waking up to coffee, I'm putting out the light. We're living parallel days that never feel quite right. I know the sun is shining where you are right but here it's always twilight, breaking every vow. We share the same planet, but not the same time. Your morning is my midnight, a difficult climb. We set our clocks to match for a little while, but the earth kept turning, losing every smile. We try to meet in the middle in that brief overlap, but it only highlighted how far apart we're trapped. We're separated by the time zone difference, a cruel and silent wall where I'm sending you my daylight and you don't receive it all. I need you in my darkness, but you're living in the bright, and our love is stuck forever in the space between the night and light. Stop the day from ending, and this asynchronous heartbreak is simply condescending. Midnight here, morning there. We were on the same circuit, drawing power from the same source. Our energy was boundless, running on a natural force. You were my main connection, the stable, perfect feed, the lifeline to my happiness, everything I need. But then the breaker tripped, a sudden silent click, and I was disconnected, too sudden and too quick. I'm searching for the outlet, the place where we connect, but the fuse has been blown, leaving only cold neglect. The power is still flowing, but it's going far from me, and I'm alone in the dark, wondering how to be free. I've been unplugged from your grid, cut off from your light, left here in the darkness of the deepest lonely night. You found a new source, a better, stronger line, while my system is failing, waiting for a single sign. My battery's low now, the charge is getting weak. The separation anxiety is a language I can't speak. Feeling unplugged, feeling unplugged, feeling unplugged. We set out on this journey with a destination clear, but somewhere around mile 30 you disappeared, my dear. I check the road map daily, I refresh the guiding light, but your pin on my screen slowly vanished in the night. We had the same starting point, the same emotional need, but we ended up on different roads, planting different seeds. I keep driving to the spot where our paths were meant to cross, searching for the signal, calculating the loss. I still have the address book, the one we filled with dreams, but our future exists only in disconnected data streams. We ended up with unshared GPS coordinates, miles and years apart, though we promised we would always navigate by heart. I'm stuck here at the junction, rerouting every hour, while you found a new direction, escaping from my power. We had the same map open, but you chose a private view, and now I'm alone and orbiting a place I thought I knew. I tried to send you messages, location, ping, and prayer, but the satellite of feeling couldn't reach you way out there. Now my dashboard's flashing red, signaling a detour to a lonely, quiet city that I've never been